Michael, great to have you back on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about some of the headlines that did come out of this conference, and specifically this discussion you had with Jack Dorsey. A lot of very thought-provoking commentary, including this idea that Bitcoin is predictable and deliberate and even slower moving perhaps than some other kinds of crypto assets, which is why the both of you prefer it over some of those other crypto assets. Big picture around Bitcoin and what it means for businesses like Square, based on what Dorsey said yesterday, and also for MicroStrategy.
Yeah, well, I think that the world's plagued with an inflation problem. The headlines last night were that Lebanese consumers lost 93% of their wealth because of a currency devaluation. The same's happened in Argentina. Turkey's on the brink. And, the banks are going to freeze their assets, and they're going to hold them for many, many years. There's no solution there. And so the internet's also plagued by scammers, spammers, surveillance problems, and psyops. There were 398 Michael Saylor Twitter bots spun up in 30 minutes yesterday. Big tech needs a solution. Big finance needs a solution. There's billions of people that are unbanked. And so Jack's a man on a mission, and his observation is we need digital property, which is open, permissionless, fair, ethical. And we can build on that base, especially if we use Lightning to move that value at the speed of light everywhere in the world.
Yeah, I think he used the words very close to the first native internet language, and how different business models might look for example, social media companies, if something like Bitcoin had existed sooner. This idea of emerging and overlapping of payment systems and services at a company like Square using Bitcoin. How do those worlds emerge at MicroStrategy?
Our view is we're going to run our enterprise software business. We had the best year in many, many years. Our revenues are up 6% year over year. Our cloud business is growing 39% year over year. And we dropped 18% of our revenues as free cash flow that we're able to use for debt service and for acquiring more Bitcoin. So the core business is healthy. The Bitcoin strategy is to, of course, reinvest our proceeds into Bitcoin. And we kind of view ourselves as we're combining the efficiency of a zero-fee spot ETF with the yield and the cheap leverage of an operating company without the competitive risk of a Bitcoin miner. So that's kind of a compelling offering if you're a public market investor and you're looking for Bitcoin exposure.
So it sounds like you're very much on board with this idea, at least from a Wall Street and investor standpoint, of the stock being seen as a bet on Bitcoin.
We definitely believe in Bitcoin, and we believe that Bitcoin's the most disruptive force of the decade. And so certainly our intention is to continue to acquire and hold Bitcoin by any means that's accretive.
Okay. So let's talk about near term right now, which is the fact that you reported earnings last night. Stocks under pressure, net loss of $90 million or $8.43 per share. Street had actually been looking for a profit of 89 cents. And of course, this loss was largely tied to the inclusion of impairment losses on Bitcoin that more than offset the profit from your core software business. I mean, walk us through the implications of that as you continue to build out that core business and also, as you said on the call last night, look to acquire more Bitcoin.
Well, I think the most important numbers to focus on are the revenue growth, 6% up year over year, the 18% free cash flow margin. So we are generating a lot of cash. We are growing our core business, and we've got 125,000 Bitcoin. And I think our investors, they understand those numbers. The indefinite intangible accounting that we have on our GAAP statements, and the inclusion of the non-cash charges on our pro formas make it a little bit opaque if you're using those conventional measures.